voluntarily play along, it can't be socialism. Opening a bag of bites. Ooh, bloody hell, it's time to go live. I was sorry about that. Forgetting about the time. And if everything is well, we should be live now. I have with me Michael Keller. Well, you've seen him before. No, you haven't seen him before. You heard him before. And today we're going to talk about 31 reasons why I won't take the vaccine. We're not going to start right away because I'm going to give people time to join us. At this point in time, we have a grand total of no one. That's always a good sign. Now, I know a few people
Someone
won't...
just arrived.
Sorry?
Someone just arrived.
Did someone arrive? Ooh.
Yeah, we are already 3 people on the stream. You, me, and that other one.
Okay, that's cool. Well, hi, that third person. I have no clue. I don't see anyone. But, yeah, 3 people. That's good. I know a few people that are regularly here already said they probably won't come because tomorrow is Easter and they have to still get some stuff done to make ready for the big celebration hubbub, which is not going to be a big celebration because, let's be honest, there isn't a government in Europe that will allow you to visit your family.
Well, actually, you can have 10 people visiting you, but only from the same family. Here in Switzerland, at least.
Well, in the Netherlands, you can have 1 person visiting you.
So actually, 1 person goes to a family of 9 people in the house. That would be okay, but a family of 9 people is not allowed to visit the one like the grandma or something.
Yeah, that's basically it. So if you have grandma, the best thing you can do is go get her and then bring her to your house with the other 10 children. But don't go with your 10 children to her, because then she is in danger.
Yeah, and people say I should go to a sanitary.
The stupidity around Corona is getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, it's in the Netherlands, they've decided to change the curfew. We have a curfew in the Netherlands. We haven't had a curfew since the Second World War, but okay, we have a curfew in the Netherlands. And the curfew was 9 o'clock in the evening, but it's going to go up to 10 o'clock in the evening because Ramadan is soon. And it would be unfair for Muslims to have a curfew at 9 o'clock because they want to come together.
Well,
which they're not allowed, by the way, so that's funny.
Well, we have a curfew from 7 o'clock in the evening, which is 19 o'clock for Europeans. Mm-hmm. And the only issue I have with this time, we changed to Middle European summertime. We moved the clock 1 hour ahead. I wonder if anybody told the virus that he mustn't be infected for 1 hour additional, because otherwise he's going to infect people from 6 o'clock in the evening on.
So would that then be... No, actually we went from 7 to 8 o'clock because the summertime adds an hour, if I'm not mistaken. And then we went from 8 o'clock... from 7 to 8, 8 to 9. Yeah, so... Nah, never mind. Anyway, the whole thing is, it's bullshit. Be afraid of a virus that can dot down the time. There's something seriously wrong with it. I mean, if you're going to say, well, yeah, you know, it doesn't really know the time, but it can sense the temperature, and when it's above a certain temperature... Well, yeah. I mean, we've already gone out of the temperature zones that we've had, so shouldn't we then not have a curfew at all? And the thing is, in the Netherlands, the politicians that started the curfew basically said it's the first thing we're going to remove. Out of all of the things we put in, as soon as things go better, we're going to remove that.
Have they defined how things going to be better?
No. Actually, they have a roadmap to improvements, but that roadmap ends at 1, not on 0. So it's 1, it's a little bit bad. 2, it's a little bit more bad. 3, it's very bad. But there is no 0. But they're going to remove all the restrictions once we reach 0. But 0 hasn't been defined. So yeah. And no one seems to notice in the Netherlands. Well, that's not true. There are lots of people who notice, but the vast majority of the society doesn't seem to notice. It's quite annoying, actually.
Yeah, it is. People are fine with everything the government is doing because I can't tell why.
Yeah, I have no clue either, to be honest. It is a little bit upsetting, but yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, it is.
Now, there's not going to be a lot of people today, so I guess we're going to do it with what we have. I'm going to share the page of thegatesofvienna.net. Link is in the description, and we're going to talk about these 31 points. Or at least that is the idea. I can't show it to you, Michael, over...
I'll have the link. It was me who sent it.
That is true. It's your link. And the following list was created by the Israeli Rabbi Chanmanya Weissman. Okay. And 31 reasons why I won't take the vaccine starts obviously with point 1. And I'm going to do point 1. And would you then do point 2, Michael? Just alternate between the two of us?
Oh, you mean reading it?
Yeah. I'm going to do 1, and then we're going to talk a little bit. You're going to do 2, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, I can do it if you want some stuttering on the stream. That's no issue for me.
Yeah. Otherwise, everyone seems to think that I'm the only one talking. Which may be true, but let's try it.
Okay, let's give it a try.
Okay, it's not a vaccine. A vaccine, by definition, provides immunity to a disease. For example, we have a vaccine against the mumps or the measles. They are a vaccine. If you have it, you are protected against the disease. Now, the Greek influenza vaccines, and we didn't call them influenza vaccines, we called them influenza shots, may help you a little bit from not getting too sick, but they weren't called vaccines. So it's a treatment thing, but not a vaccine thing. And I don't want to take treatment for an illness I do not have. Anyone want to... anyone. What do you want to say about that one?
Well, it's also not only just a treatment, it's actually a genetical treatment because it is modifying your RNA, which, if everything goes bad, could actually become your own DNA. And for a treatment, it does not do anything good because it only prevents you from a heavy outcome of the illness. You can still get infected, you can still get you can still transmit the virus, and you still can get sick. So what the heck does it? It does nothing.
Yeah, no, it really does nothing, because I wrote an article and I can't find it so fast. I'm sorry, people. I'll try to get it back later. I have found it in Dutch, by the way, that if you take the vaccine, you are protected, because the vaccine will make sure that you have, if you get infected, a 90% chance of not getting sick. Funny enough, if you get infected, you already have a 90% chance of not getting sick. So it's a vaccine that literally does nothing. People don't like to say this. Sorry? Well, yeah, it is causing harm. It is causing harm. And some of them are worse than others. Lately, we've heard a lot about the AstraZeneca vaccine. I can still remember all the way at the beginning, the Pfizer vaccine was mentioned a few times as well, but we never hear anything about that one anymore. So that's good news, isn't it?
Well, the same with matches with those new wizards. You don't have to look where the action is. Look where there is no action to know what's really happening. And I think that's the reason why we don't hear anything of the BioNTech and what's the other one? Moderna. Because, there might be something going on. Also, hi, Paolo.
Yeah. Anyway, point 2.
Oh, that'd be me, sorry. Point 2, the drug companies, politicians, medical establishment, and media, he forgot Bill Gates, have joined forces to universally refer to this as a vaccine when it's not one, with the intention of manipulating people into feeling safe about undergoing a medical treatment. Because they are being deceitful, I do not trust them and want nothing to do with their medical treatment.
Well, yeah, they are being deceitful. They're telling you something that they know is not true.
Also, they are not publicly mentioning the risks of this vaccine, even though it's clear, and it has been very clear about the AstraZeneca. By the way, in Germany, they used AstraZeneca to vaccinate the people below 60 years of age, and now they changed it to people over 60 years of age because because the vaccine killed too many people in Germany. And yeah, I think that's going to be assisted suicide.
Yeah, it is quite amazing. And I like the fact that they keep talking about how the vaccine is definitely necessary because the virus has mutated. And now.
Even though the vaccine doesn't work against the mutations.
Well, that too. But it's true that this is another fact, by the way. You do not vaccinate during a pandemic, you do it before the pandemic. During the pandemic, you can't vaccinate because then you will accelerate mutations. But that wasn't what I wanted to say. The funny thing is that they are now talking about how certain mutations have come. For example, the British version and the Brazilian version. Which is funny because we weren't allowed to call Chinese... we weren't allowed to call it the Chinese flu because that was racist toward China. But we can perfectly say British version, South African version, etc., etc. And in the Netherlands, they are trying to scare people by saying that there are 3 times as many deaths among young people because of the British version. Now, I'm not quite sure what they mean by young people because they don't define it. But if they're going to say young people is 30 and below, yeah, I'm sorry, but 3 times what now? 3 times 10? So there's now 30 deaths in a year instead of 10 deaths in a year. I still don't really think that this is a huge problem.
Also, it would be interesting to see a clinical isolate of the virus because they haven't shown a virus of SARS-CoV-2. It's still the interpolated thing of this German professor. They haven't shown an isolate of the Brazilian one, of the British one, of the second Brazilian one. There shall be another mutation already. They haven't shown anything of the South African mutation, even though in South Africa people seem to be very healthy, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems to be dwindling. Corona doesn't seem to be acting out as much there as you would expect.
Might depend on the sun and the weather.
Might. Definitely the sun, probably. Vitamin D.
And also the sun disinfecting quite everything because of the ultraviolet light that's involved in sunlight.
Yep, that probably will kill the virus, most likely. Anyway, point 3. The presumed benefits of this medical treatment are minimal and would not last long in any case. The establishment acknowledges this and is already talking about additional shots and an ever-increasing number of new vaccines that would be required on a regular basis. I refuse to turn myself into a chronic patient who receives injections of new pharmaceutical products on a regular basis simply to reduce my chances of getting a severe case of a virus that these injections do not even prevent. And I guess that's the main point. They keep telling us that, well, once you're vaccinated, you're still not really safe. But the whole idea of a vaccine in the old days was that you get a little bit of the sickness, and your immune system would then know the sickness, know how to deal with it, and your T cells would defend your body against the virus. But they have been saying that, you need to have the first shot, and a few weeks later you need a second shot to strengthen it. and then you need one at least every half year, probably every year, because the antibodies in your body will only last for a few weeks, a few months at best. And I'm like, that's not how antibodies work. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, some of them.
especially because it's not about the excuse me, it's not about the antibodies, it's about the body knows how to build those antibodies. You can have immunity for years, even though you have not one single antibody in your blood, because your body knows how to build them if he needs to.
Yeah. But you're not allowed to realize this. You have to be afraid and you have to allow them to keep injecting you with something that they haven't really tested yet.
But there's an easy test, a way to make people understand how this works. Last year, I was, I believed I was due to a new tetanus shot to prevent tetanus if you are injured and so on, which in my case is rather possible. And the last shot I had was 10 years ago. In the meantime, they found out that the body keeps the plan to build those antibodies for 20 years or longer. So they explained to me, oh, you don't need this. Your body still knows how to make those antibodies. And I said, well, hey, it was 10 years a refresh. And they said, no, 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 no. Body knows how to do it. And I said, okay, let's check my blood if I have still antibodies in it, because that was the time when they already said, oh, it's about antibodies in the blood. And I said, no, 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 it doesn't work like that.
No, because your body will make antibodies the moment it needs them.
Just exactly. And then I asked the doc the last questions I ever asked this moron. I'm sorry. Then why the fuck should we take 6 months a vaccine every 6 months to have enough antibodies in the blood if the body knows or remembers how to make them? Didn't have an answer, and I have a new doctor since.
True that. True that. Anyway, point 4. Take it away.
I can reduce my chances of getting a severe case of a virus by strengthening my immune system naturally. In the event I catch a virus, there are vitamins and well-established drugs that have a wonderful results in warding off the illness without the risks and unknowns of this medical treatment. Oh, so right. I've been outside the whole last year trying to get sick. The hell did I get? I was healthier than anyone.
Yeah. But it's true, though. I mean, being outside gives your body a lot of chances of creating their own antibodies, even without having been sick. But yeah. Hi there, Toxic. And Paulo, I wonder, have the flu vaccine sales been going down?
No,
Yes.
study from Germany. They have gone up because the media has told the people to get the vaccine,
No.
and they actually went after every vaccine. Well, at least in Germany.
Yeah,
and
but that's only for
Switzerland.
the last year. For the
Well,
last
in
2 years.
2020.
Yeah. But since 2010, and this is all over Europe, the grippe vaccines, well, they're not vaccines. The grippe shot, the flu shots have been going down.
Yeah,
They
because
have
of
been
the
going
swine
down
flu.
massively. Sorry?
Because of the swine flu, because we already had some mankind killing thingy going on. That was the swine flu in 2010, when the people gotten the vaccine that was untested and have gotten sick and so on. And people said, no, we are no longer going to be vaccinated. That's why the sales have gone down. But last year they increased.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I mean, the flu shots have been going down and down and down and down. And in most countries, people don't want to take flu shots anymore because, one, they don't really work. And two, if you need them for the sudden flus, like they had with H1N1, then you actually get sick from the flu shot. You can even get narcolepsy because of it. So,
Not only with H1N1, in my father's retirement castle, they have mandatory flu vaccines. All the people said they never had the flu until they were forced to take the flu shots. Then they gotten sick of it.
I'm sorry, I'm going to... What the hell? Come on, show it. I'm going to respond to Dimitri. On South Africa, not relevant to the COV2 UN AIDS from the WB. What's WB? WB?
Warner Brothers?
I don't know. Probably not. In 2019, the HIV prevalence rate for adult age 15 to 49 was 37%. In Eswatini, Swaziland, 25. In Lesotho, and 19 in South Africa. Okay. Not sure why. That's a lot of AIDS, by the way. I'm not sure how this ties in with the corona thing, to be honest. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's continue then. Where were we? We were at point 5 now, right?
Yeah, point 5. It's yours.
It's mine. The establishment insists that this medical treatment is safe. But they cannot possibly know this, because the long-term effects are entirely unknown and will not be known for many years. They may speculate that it's safe, but it is disingenuous for them to make such a claim that they cannot possibly known to be true. Because they are being disingenuous, I do not trust them, and I want no part of this treatment. Ah, the World Bank. Thank you for translating, Toxic. But yeah, no, I mean, this is a point. They are telling us how safe this vaccine is. They're totally saying, no, this vaccine, it's the best ever, and it's 99% safe. And I'm like, that's still 1%. It's not. But yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, the virus isn't 99% deadly. It's only 99.9 something. I mean, once you reach the age of 65, you actually get around the 95 percentile. I'm sorry, that's not a really dangerous virus. And then we have an antivirus that isn't safe. It can't be safe. And how do we
Also,
know
they
it?
are cheating on the numbers because they say, oh, no, they're not dying from the vaccine. They die of old age, of the
Yep.
pre-existing conditions. It's the same for the COVID, actually. Someone with terminal cancer dying already on the palliative station, he doesn't die from COVID, he dies from the cancer. But if someone gets the vaccination and 20 or 30 minutes after he dies, well, he was a heart patient.
Yeah, he was already on his way out. So it's a double standard. Yes, you're young. Yes, you're sick. Yes, you die of a heart disease, but you also have COVID. Therefore, you count as COVID. But you get the vaccine. You still die of a heart disease. And this time it had nothing to do with the vaccine, because obviously you had a heart case. The double standards are constantly coming back. And it's funny because... Oh, actually, this is the next point. You know what? I'm going to give this one to you. Go on.
Okay, let me answer to Dimitris for one moment. We had 9,500 COVID victims in Switzerland from February 2020 to March 2021. 9,500 COVID victims. In the same time, we had about 100,000 victims of, how to tell it in English, antibiotic-resistant bacteria from hospitals. We had 200,000 cancer deaths. That much for the vaccine, right? But yeah, point 6 was it, right? Yeah, okay. The drug companies have zero liability if anything goes wrong and cannot be sued. Same for the politicians who are pushing this treatment. I will not inject myself with a new experimental medical device when the people behind it accept no liability or responsibility if something goes wrong. I will not risk my health and my life when they refuse to risk anything. Oh hell, I can agree with that.
Well, this is the funny thing. In the Netherlands, the government has already basically said that the producers are not to be held liable. At the same time, the government said, and we are not to be held liable either, even though we allow this to happen. So
They're
who
not
is?
allowing this to happen. They force this to happen.
Well, no, they're not forcing anyone officially. It's another point, trust me. But they are telling nurses and doctors to inject people. But if something goes wrong, these nurses and these doctors are individually liable for each and every injection they give.
That's why they made the vaccination centers, because you can't see the doctor's face or the nurse's face. You can maybe see a name on it, but you never get it written in the
In the Netherlands,
passport and so on.
In the Netherlands, you do.
Oh, they do. Oh, that's cool.
You can check who is injecting you, because they are liable. Now, there's a doctor in the Netherlands. It's the same doctor who started treating people with hydrochloroquine and got told off by the Dutch medical boards. He basically, when people come to him for a vaccine, he basically gives them a letter they have to sign. And in that letter, they sign that they understand the risks they are taking, they know what's in the vaccine, and if something untoward happens, they will not hold the doctor liable. If they do not sign that, he will not give them the vaccine. And obviously this is a good thing, because it takes away the blame from him. But at the same time, people are upset because how dare he? Oh, wait a second. You want the vaccine, he doesn't trust it, but he's willing to give it to you. All he says is, don't blame me if this goes south. And he's basically being told you're not allowed to do that. How weird is that? Are you still there, by the way, Michael?
Yeah, I think the world can be happy that I forgot to push the button for the push to talk at the moment. Oh my God, no way. Oh, yeah, and people tell me I shall go to the sanitary, right? Oh my God.
What's that? One lady died and they listed natural causes at the age of 40. It's always like this. The money is too great. 30% return on investments. Well, yeah, the virus, the antivirus vaccine bullshit, they're making way too much money. Now, in all fairness, it's possible that you die at 40 of natural causes. It can. But you couldn't die with COVID of natural causes. You automatically died because of COVID. So if that's the standard, yeah, I'm sorry, but if the only new thing is the vaccine, it's likely that this will have a cause in your death.
Yes, and this caused a scandal around the AstraZeneca vaccine in Austria, because an about 35-year-old nurse had a complete medical checkup just before the vaccination. Then she got vaccinated. 30 minutes later, she was gone. And so they knew, oh, this has definitely to do with the vaccine, because everything else has been nominal.
Well, in the Netherlands, they tried something else, because when they started talking about how AstraZeneca vaccine can cause thrombosis, all of a sudden the news became, well, but there's about 10 new thrombosis cases in the country every day, so that's not so weird. The thing is, though, you don't instantly die of thrombosis. Well, it's not really true. You can, but the chance of that happening is really slim. And now we have a lot of thrombosis happening in the brain, which is... that doesn't happen a lot at all. And yes, indeed, I heard about that one, Richard Bayer. In Vermont, there's a governor basically saying that white people will not get the vaccine. So, yeah, minorities will get the vaccines first. And you know, the thing is, you can look at it two ways. And neither of them are nice. But, one, he doesn't trust the vaccine, so he wants to sacrifice as many non-whites as he can before he says, okay, now it's safe. Or two, he hates white people so much that he doesn't want them to die from something that hasn't been tested. I don't know. Actually, I can't see that as a negative towards white people, even though he might mean it as such. But I kind of see it as a negative towards people of color. The thing, Modwayne, is that they are going to force us all, even the kids. Yeah, it does seem that way, doesn't it, Dimitri? It does seem that way. And it's scary as fuck. Anyway, point 7. Israel's prime minister has openly admitted that the Israeli people are the world's laboratory for this experimental treatment. I'm not interested in being a guinea pig or donating my body to science. I guess, yeah, that's the thing though. We are being used as guinea pigs.
And especially Israel, which should know better than any other country in the world what experimenting on humans actually means, right?
Well, it's even weirder. I've seen pictures and a video where people that aren't vaccinated, if they go to a shopping mall, they are giving a yellow sticker they have to wear on their chest. And I'm like, how can you not see the link to the Second World War? Well, they also had something yellow stitched to their clothing. The only thing different is that the shape is different.
Yeah, and only this time they started to protest against this, but the protests have been silenced, like in any other country in the world.
Yeah, you're not allowed to disagree. How dare you? You're just plebs. You don't know what's going on. Anyway, your turn.
Israel agreed to share medical data of its citizens with a foreign drug company as a fundamental part of their agreement to receive this treatment. I never consented for my personal medical data to be shared with any such entity, nor was I even asked. I will not contribute to this sleazy enterprise.
That's another thing. In Europe, by law, they're not allowed to do this. And they're still doing it. But one of the things in Europe, and this is so funny, I mean, this is not true for Switzerland, unfortunately, but in the European Union, you are not allowed to be discriminated because of medical issues, and they're not allowed to register any medical information unless you have given your specific consent.
Well, it's the same in Switzerland, actually.
Well, it is, but I mean, you're not part of the European Union.
No, but it's equally bad.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, we have this rule. It's already a thing, and they're totally ignoring it. My cough is ready. The thing is, I mean, I have hay fever, and I need to go to the dentist. And the dentist doesn't want to have me because I might have the sniffles. So I can come when hay fever season is over. But I even have hay fever in the winter. Because there are trees that still produce pollen in winter. So
Same
I'm
here.
fucked. I can't go to the dentist anymore.
Yeah, it's terrible. You can't even take a sneeze at the moment without people going berserk about it.
Yeah. If it is a big experiment, because mRNA technology will give the elites eternal life if they can make it work. I'm not so sure about that one. I don't think it's about giving them eternal life.
It's either take the life from those people who take the mRNA. If I remember toxic, there will be a point in this list which will explain why.
Well, I can remember that this is at the beginning when the AstraZeneca vaccine wasn't really done, but they were talking about how it caused women to become infertile.
So going for BioNTech, who actually announced women who are pregnant or who want to become pregnant shouldn't take the vaccine. Then some politicians told, oh, it's safe to take, and abortions happened. Women are now infertile already. Well, yeah, good luck. Why listen to the manufacturer of those things?
Yeah. It's amazing. The executives And board members at Pfizer are on record that they have not taken their own treatment, despite all the fanfare, and assurances. They are claiming that they would consider it unfair to cut the line. This is a preposterous excuse, and it takes an unbelievable amount of chutzpah to even say such a thing. Such a line is a figment of their own imagination. If they hogged a couple of injections for themselves, no one would cry foul. In addition, billionaires with private jets and private islands are not known for waiting in line until hundreds of millions of people, peasants all over the world, go first to receive anything that these billionaires want for themselves. That's
Also,
the thing.
yeah, and there's a saying in Swiss Army. I don't know if it's applying to other countries too, but we say a good leader leads by example. Politicians, billionaires, and those creating those vaccines should have been the first ones taking this shit.
Well,
That's
there's another saying. In the Netherlands, we have a saying, and it translates basically into those that transport apples eat apples. If your production is something, then obviously you're going to be the first to enjoy that you produced. Because everyone else has to buy it off of you and you can just simply grab it off the shelf. It's weird.
Yeah, and that nobody questions it. I mean, the BioNTech boss himself is not even with Pfizer. He's the BioNTech. It was a separate German company before Pfizer bought it. He said he will never, ever take an mRNA shot. Never, ever.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
they don't know what will happen.
or they already know, because mRNA vaccines aren't actually very new. They have been in Tierversuch, animal trials, for about 30 years. And they had to stop these trials because the mid and long-term effects were so terrible. Yet with COVID-19, they give the shots, and people who are totally against GMO food are taking the shot and change themselves. Well, yeah, congratulations, folks.
Yeah.
Thinking of this makes me very tired.
Well, yeah, me too. But at the same time, people need to be aware of these things. And on average, people aren't. That's why I put the link you gave in this one. And I really hope people start spreading the thing. Now, I know, for example, Toxic makes a lot of videos about how certain organizations in the Western world are abusing their powers. The United Nations obviously being one of them. The World Health Organization, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum. These people are pushing certain aspects. They're not even hiding it. I mean, everyone can simply go to their website and see that this is happening. But at the same time, people don't want to look at it. They don't see it. They don't have to think about it. I mean,
And they don't even want to know about it, because if you link to these pages, well, you're a conspiracy theorist, and
yeah.
And
It's
Paolo had
amazing.
it right. He said, "Why don't you peasants go first? Check for snakes." Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly that.
Anyway, point 10. Take it away.
The establishment media have accepted this preposterous excuse without questions or concerns. Moreover, I don't know how to pronounce that word,
Lord, yeah.
Lord Pfizer's executives for their supposed self-sacrifice in not taking their own experimental treatment until we go first. Since they consider us such fools, I do not trust them and do not want their new treatment. They can have my place in line. I'll go to the very back of the line. Well,
Yeah.
I do the same, and I can assure you, if he would said this in public here in Switzerland, he would have disappeared in a sanitary, being considered a highly dangerous, highly endangered part of society, and would have been force vaccinated.
Yeah.
Already happened.
It's If they really thought it was that dangerous, if they really thought that this was the only way to survive it, we would be the last to get it, not the first. Anyway, I like point 11. 3 facts that must be put together. Bill Gates is touting these vaccines as essential to the survival of the human race. Bill Gates believes the world has too many people and needs to be depopulated. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, let's say it like that, has also not been injected because he has no rush. And one of the points he didn't add, even though Bill Gates really likes to push this, Bill Gates is not welcome in several shithole countries. It's not nice of me to call them shithole countries, but poorer countries, because of his vaccine experiments. For example, his polio vaccine has caused a lot of people to die in India. He's not welcome there. If he gets there, he'll get arrested. I'm not sure, but I think I saw once that someone mentioned that that India has an international arrest warrant for Bill Gates. Now, no one seems to care about it, but yeah, there is that.
Yeah, and also, Bill Gates doesn't have received the vaccine, but his daughter, well, in media, so I don't know if it's true or not, has luckily accepted her shots with mRNA, and she said a medicine student, Bill Gates' daughter, she received her first mRNA today.
Well,
So she even mislabeled what she has gotten. It was mRNA, sure, but it was a vaccine or treatment or something, and I expect a medical pro to phrase it right. I could understand someone like me phrasing it wrong.
well, there could be
yeah.
another reason for it.
Marketing. She
Well,
getting the same
marketing and
vaccine
lying.
like the Israeli president without a needle.
So yeah, there is that. I don't know. I mean, people like Bill Gates, he's a sociopath. I'm sorry, people. Purely from a psychological point of view, the dude is a sociopath.
Isn't that a bit too polite? Because his newest plans is to darken the sunlight by bringing up some powder into the upper atmosphere, so not enough sunlight arrives at the Earth to stop global warming, but making the winters, which were already harder, even colder, and essentially kill
Well,
our life.
the funny thing is, that plan isn't new. And how do I know that plan isn't new? Well, not too long ago, I was talking about how in 2009 they're already talking that the reason why the world is getting warmer is because the air is getting cleaner. So if you want to cool it down, you make sure the air isn't clean anymore. It's a little bit of a stupid thing, and I'll do a video about it soonish, I think, maybe. I'm not that active at the moment, but yeah. They want you to stop driving your car and stop heating your house, but they won't stop flying their planes. It's stupidity all over again. Anyway, point 12. Let's rush through it.
I'm not going to rush because then I'll stutter. The establishment has been entirely one-sided in celebrating this treatment. The politicians and media are urging people to take it as both a moral and civic duty. The benefits of treatment are being greatly exaggerated. The risks
are being ignored.
What happens? That's when I speak too fast. The risks are being ignored and the unknowns are being brushed aside. Because they are being deceitful and manipulative, I will not gamble my personal well-being on their integrity.
Well, it is true. I mean, they are lying. I mean, deceitful is a nice word. They're not even deceitful. They're blatantly lying. And how many top politicians? I mean, yeah, sure. Biden says he's taken the vaccine. Well, yeah, sure, that's possible. I can remember him getting the first vaccine. It was before he became the president. Have we ever heard him take the second part of the vaccine? Because everyone needs to take the second one.
Well, he was unstable on his legs when he flew upstairs to the Air Force One, and
True.
that is one of the side effects of the vaccination. You can't stand upright anymore.
Well, could be that. Could be that indeed. It's weird, but yeah. I'm sorry, I'm also eating. Not very professional of me, my bad. Let me see what the people in the chat are talking about. We don't need... Why don't you peasants go first? Check for snakes. Indeed, Paolo. They're pushing for it. The fact that Israel said never again and they're doing it again, yeah, that's indeed true. South Korea is doing the same thing. New York, who's next? Well, but that's the thing. Every westernized country is pushing for vaccines. But if you go looking for countries like the Middle East or Africa, the continent, at one point people are saying, oh, but we don't have enough vaccines going to these countries. But on the other side, those countries don't really want the vaccines.
Which countries are they? Maybe we can ask for asylum for the...
Well, no, because you're white. You're not going to have a nice life there.
Still better being white in a black country than taking the vaccine, to be honest.
Maybe. But it's currently not... you're not obligated to take the vaccine at this moment, so I'm still going to sit tight. There is an intensive propaganda campaign for people to take this treatment. Politicians, celebrities are taking selfies of themselves getting injected, perhaps in some cases pretending to get injected, which is very possible. The media is hyping this as the coolest, smartest, most happy and fun thing to do. It is the most widespread marketing campaign in history. This is not at all appropriate for any medical treatment, let alone a brand new one. And it makes me recoil. And that's another thing. I mean, I've never heard of a pandemic needing a media campaign. But this COVID thing has been on the television in every country in the Western world, on every channel, several times per day. And I've never heard of a disease needing attention like that just so that people know what's going on.
Well, back in 2010 with the swine flu, they made something similar, but they forgotten to make the to scare the people so they have panic. Now they are doing exactly that. They are telling, oh, so and so many new cases, be afraid. Oh, this new mutation, be afraid. No, this mutation, be afraid. The same with fees. If you go outside without a mask or something, you get fees and fines and even prison time in some countries. I wonder why, if a pandemic is so bad, why do you need to be punished for not following the orders? You should drop that the instant you ignore the orders, and then people would see, oh, it's actually really bad, and then they would follow the orders.
Yeah.
But not with this pandemic. Hi, Jimmy.
I saw a video not too long ago. Maybe I should see if I can find it again. Maybe I can share it. But there was I think it was a pastor. Could be a pastor, I'm not sure. Talking about how deadly the virus is. Everyone's standing up. Okay, everyone that knows someone in their close vicinity, so to speak, that died of corona, sit down. And there were very few people sitting down. And then he asked, okay, everyone who knows someone who died of a heart disease, sit down. And way more people sat down. And basically, the question is then, okay, if this COVID thing is so bad that we stop our society from living, why haven't we done anything about are health issues because people eat badly and they live badly and there's lots of other problems. And I'm like, yeah, that's the thing. I know stories of people that died of COVID, but I don't know anyone who died of COVID. It's and I'm trying to find the video, but I can't, unfortunately. So I'll do point. Oh no, wait a second. It's your turn now, or is it my turn again?
No, I believe it's mine. Um, which number are we, by the way?
I think 14 then.
Oh yeah, right. The menaces are following in tow, posting pictures of themselves getting injected with a drug, feeding the mass peer pressure to the mass peer pressure to do the same. I'm sorry. There's something very alarming and sick about this, and I want no part of it. I never took drugs just because everyone's doing it and it's cool. I'm certainly not going to start now. I can agree with that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, how many times did we tell our children? Well, if your brothers, if your friends jump off a bridge, will you jump off a bridge? Or if they all jump in the water, will you jump in the water? Yeah, it's interesting, but somehow you're not allowed to say it now because of the vaccine. I still try to find a video that I was talking about. I still can't find it. Okay. Those who raise concerns about this medical treatment are being bullied, slandered, mocked, censored, ostracized, threatened, and fired from their job. This includes medical professionals who have science-based concerns about the drug and caregivers who are witnessed people under their charge suffering horribly from reactions and death shortly after being injected. When the establishment is purging good people who risk everything simply to raise concerns about a new medical treatment, even if they don't outright oppose it, I will trust these brave people over the establishment every time. I cannot think of a single similar case in history when truth and morality turned out to be on the side of the establishment. Yeah, I wish that was not true, but unfortunately, that's a very clear-cut case, and it's very true. I mean, the establishment seems to always push a narrative. And anyone who disagrees with their narrative will be silenced. It's scary to me.
Yeah, especially if you think about for what we criticized China and Russia up until January 2020. We criticized them for not allowing any discourse, any debate, or any political opposition. What do we have now? Exactly the same.
Yep.
But if you point this out, you are called being a fascist and a Nazi and everything bad because you pointed out that the government essentially became fascist and, well, sorry, I had to stop, started swearing.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Oh, by the way, I see a new name. Hi there, Samantha Harris. Welcome.
Yeah, Samantha raised a good point, actually. Let me scroll up for a moment.
About the 127,000 recorded deaths from COVID-19 in China, in the UK, whilst China has less than 5,000.
Yes, exactly. She mentioned that the figures in the UK include other morbidities. But yeah, that's the point. They count everything as a COVID case and label it this way, while the Chinese just stopped testing for COVID and the people are just dying of other cases.
The thing is, though, I mean, considering the death numbers in the Netherlands, we didn't have a lot more deaths than the years before. Well, that's not really true. We had 18,000 more deaths than the year before. But nearly all of these more dead people are people of 80 years and older. So, old people dying is a thing that happens, and we've had a few years where people grew older. The average age in this country has gone up. And people dying from COVID, the vast majority of people dying from COVID are older than the average old age in this country. So these are people who are one step away from death already. And I'm pretty sure that this is not just true in the Netherlands. This is true in nearly all of the Western countries. One of the reasons why we saw so many deaths in the beginning in Italy was because it's the north of Italy, lots of old people, and terrible air quality. But you're not allowed to mention those things. No, they died because of COVID.
Also, let's not forget that the old people who died belong to the generation of the so-called baby boomers after the Second World War. We will see a high number on old people dying in the next following years because, I'm sorry to say, it's just their time. Humans are mortal.
Yeah, we die. That's the one constant we have. Anyway.
Shall I do the next 2 points, or shall we debate about the next point, which is just one line?
Well, up to you.
Well, this is the greatest medical experiment in history of the human race, which is right, and especially Israel should have been against this, should have stood up against this experiment and so on, because let's face it, what they are doing in Israel at the moment is nothing else than what they did in the certain camps in a certain country between 1938 and 1945. And we all know what happened there.
Yeah. It didn't start in 38 though. I think it started in 41. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. In 38, the first deportations have happened, and in 41, they
started with the camps.
Yeah.
So far in the Western world, we seem to go faster than the Jews and the Nazis did back in the day, because it took the Nazis 2-3 years before they started deporting people to the camps. But we're already talking about doing that within a year.
Yeah. And also, if you consider what the goal has been from the Nazis and the possible side effects of these mRNA vaccines, it might turn out that the current Israeli government has finished what Hitler started.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Because if the women cannot become pregnant anymore, well, essentially, that was it for the Jews.
I wish the deaths were that innocent. The people I know who died were the ones who needed someone with them. This was not allowed during admittance in UK hospitals.
It is called social distancing.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure what she means, but I do notice, and this is true in the UK, but this is true in most of the European countries, when old people need to be in care homes, they are not allowed to have families visit them. But we also know, and my mother used to work in geriatric healthcare, we also know that if these people do not regularly meet family members coming to visit them, they will literally die of being unhappy.
And or being alone. And that's what I meant. It is social distancing.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's not about physical distancing by keeping the distance between you and someone else to prevent infecting the other person or something. It's about socially distancing from other people.
Yeah.
It's made to make people alone, and that reminds me of the book 1984, when they are essentially not allowed meeting other people, which is currently standard procedure.
Yep. And obviously you don't want to meet other people. Why would you want to meet other people? There's no reason to meet other people. Do you want to have them become ill? Do you want to kill them? It's yeah, it's sickening.
And people don't see it. That's the worst.
Yep.
I mean, I can understand why people in the German part of Switzerland cannot understand it because, let's face it, who can speak English here? Because they believe social distancing means putting physical distance between each other. Even to me, it dawned only a few days ago when I realized, hey, wait a second, social distancing isn't physical distancing. And then, and since then, all the measurements have been, well, explainable if you consider the social distance not as physical distance. Everything makes sense now. Well, it's still bad, don't get me wrong, but it all makes sense now. Every measurement. Not reading the facial expression with the mask. Not needed for the virus because it stands on the shrink wraps of the mask. They don't help against viruses, so okay. But people
Yeah.
cannot read the facial expression anymore. This leads to emotional distance because if someone smiles at you, you are friendly towards this person, you might open a talk and so on.
Yep.
But without knowing, is this person smiling? Is it smirking? What is she or he doing? You automatically don't want to have anything to do with them. And yeah, everything makes sense now.
Yep. It's painful to see these things happen.
And yes, Samantha, I agree with that. She wrote, if you are ill and unable to talk, you need someone to advocate for you. This is very important because there have been scandals in Germany about people not being allowed to decide for themselves, being asked, do you want to be vaccinated or not? And the caregivers of these persons were not allowed to enter the retirement castle or prevent the people from being vaccinated, even though that person actually didn't want to, but they were manipulated into taking the vaccine. It was terrible, I tell you.
Yeah. And indeed, Richard, there was one Canadian grandmother that asked to be euthanized because she couldn't be alone. I know of a story of an 80-year-old man, I think in the UK, but it could be the USA as well, who jumped out of his caregiver's flat because he couldn't stand another lockdown. And there are more of these examples. People committing suicide. It actually happens, but it's being downplayed. It's oh, they were still allowed to go to the euthanasia. Well, that's
Well, that makes sense, right?
oh, by the way, if anyone wants it, because I see you talking about the Great Reset, I think I haven't really completely read it, but I think I have the PDF. It was online, so if you want it, give me a holler and I'll send you the link. I haven't read it completely myself, so I'm not really sure if it is the real thing, but from what I've seen so far, it seems very much the real thing. And what is the goal of the Great Reset? Well, it's a way to go back to communism. That's basically it. The original video that the World Economic Forum had to advocate for it was, you will own nothing and be happy. And my wife comes from Poland, and they owned nothing and were told to be happy.
But were they?
Of course not. It's a very old joke about journalists interviewing Polish, Russian, Czechian, whatever. So how are the cars in your country? Oh, well, I can't complain. Oh, okay. So do you go out a lot? You have fun? Well, I can't complain. I can't complain. Well, how's the food? Yeah, no, I can't complain. How's work? No, yeah, sure, can't complain. So what's the problem? I can't complain. And people seem to not understand that one quite often. And it's kind of funny. I think I've mentioned this before. People kind of always assume that it's 1948. Sorry, not 1948. 1984. When people talk about dystopias, but A Brave New World was a dystopia too, even though people were assumed to be happy. And point 11 of the rabbi's list. What do you want to say about point 11?
That's what the toxic gas. I know that, but I mean with the vaccine. What's the goal behind the vaccine? And I pointed to point 11 of the rabbi's list up there,
Yeah.
with Bill Gates wanting to reduce humanity's population.
Yeah. Fair point. We were at point 17.
Which was yours?
It is purposely not being portrayed as the greatest medical experiment in the history of the human race. And the fact that it is a medical experiment at all is being severely downplayed. Because you're not to think that it's an experiment. You are not to think that you're being the guinea pig they tested on. But that's what's going on. The first one will be safe. I think the next one could be anything. Well, yeah. That might be true, Dimitri. People do like a whinge. Well, yeah, that is also true. And you are correct, Samantha. The NHS... I hate it when people talk about the NHS as a great system for health. It's a great system showing how socialism is a bad idea, even in healthcare. But that's just me. Shall we continue to point 18?
Well, as I don't have anything to add, I guess, yeah. Were they up front with the masses, very few would agree to participate in such an experiment. Manipulating the masses to participate in medical experiments under false pretenses violates the foundations of medical ethics and democratic law. I will not allow unethical people who engage in such conduct to inject me with anything. Oh, he's so right with that. There's an interesting point I might add after we finished up this list about an experiment and being participant. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay. But it is true, though. I mean, they try to pretend that this is not a test phase of a vaccine. Even though, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling people not to take the vaccine. If you want to do it, by all means, go ahead. It is a psychological experiment. By the way, Dimitri. The first will be on safe. The second one... I do think it is a psychological experiment. I mean, as I said earlier, I've never heard of a pandemic where the media had to tell people that they were in the middle of a pandemic. Because let's be honest, if you see a lot of people dying from something, you know that there are a lot of people dying from something. The only reason now people know that there are a lot of people are dying from something is because they constantly get told on the news that a lot of people are dying from something. Today I talked with a girl and she doesn't even believe the corona hype. She really thinks it's overdone. At the same time, though, she still thinks that about 50 to 100,000 people in the Netherlands have died from corona. Even though she thinks it's absolutely overdrawn and it's not really serious, she still thinks that 5 to 10 times as many people have died from it that actually have died with it, not from it, with it. So even people that are skeptical still believe outrageous things about this whole corona thing. It is a psychological experiment, and I mean, if I were to explain people which experiments are going on, I would probably say, well, there's the Milgram experiment. There is the what was it called? Stanford Prison experiment, and there is the Robert Cave experiment. Those three combined are what we are seeing now. the Stanford prison experiment, because there are people who believe and they automatically start downplaying the people who do not believe. And they will actually start getting violent. I'm pretty sure of it. It hasn't happened yet. Well, actually, no, it has happened yet already, but we don't really get told a lot about it. But in every European country, there have been people protesting and they've met with a violent end during that protest. They didn't die, sorry. The protest was violently ended, usually by the government. But yeah, there are people protecting the government in this as well. So yeah, there is the Stanford prison project and the what did I call the other one? The rubber cave experiment, where people are being lied to, and because of the misinformation they are getting angry with the people they are lied about. There are, for example, people like me can't wear a face mask. I've made a video about it some time ago, but I seriously have an oxygen problem when I wear a face mask. But there are people out there who blame me for the problems they are having, and they only have to wear a face mask because they want to protect me. Personally, I say take off your bloody mask because they don't help. But why are you upset with me? If you wear the bloody mask to protect people like me, shouldn't you then at least be happy that you're protecting me, even though I can't do the same stupid thing as you are doing? No, they're upset because I don't believe what they believe.
Also, they have a logic failure, because if they protect others with the mask, this would mean the mask protects. Then they would be protected themselves. But as they are not protected themselves because masks don't help, how shall they help others?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm sorry, but the current problem we are facing, mostly in the Western world, but in some non-Western countries we have this problem too, is psychological. We've been propagandized for over a year and people believe it. How many people know someone that died because of COVID? And if you ask this people around, well, nearly everyone knows a story they've heard from someone they know via. But how many people lost someone in their direct line? And don't get me wrong, there will be people that lost family members to COVID. I'm not saying it's not real. But look at the numbers.
Also, after almost 3 months of vaccinating people against COVID, an additional question should be asked. How many people know someone who has had side effects of the mRNA vaccination?
Yeah.
Because these people will be outnumbering those who know someone who died of it.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Anyway, what's the next point?
I think it was 19.
There we go. The medical establishment is not informing people about any of this. They have become marketing agents for an experimental drug, serving huge companies and politicians who have made deals with them. This is a direct conflict with their mandate to concern themselves exclusively with the well-being of people under their care. Since the medical establishment has become corrupted, it has become nothing more than a corporate and political tool. I do not trust the experimental drug they want so badly to inject with me with. This is also true. I mean, one of the doctors I have, because I'm at a group of doctors, GPs, general practitioners. One of those doctors actually berated me for not wanting to wear a face mask, even though she was fully aware of my medical condition. So she knew why I couldn't wear it. And if there is indeed this very dangerous COVID, I'm one of the people that should be protected because, hey, let's be honest, I might die from it a lot more so than all the other people. I mean, I have a 5% chance of actually dying from COVID. Which is quite a lot, don't get me wrong, but I'm not worried that much. And for the longest time, she kept saying, no, but we have to be careful because of this, that, and the other. And after a while, when she realized that I simply didn't buy the lies she kept pushing, she stopped pushing these lies. Because, well, I mean, why bother, right? But none of the points I made, for example, how viruses are a lot smaller than bacteria, and even bacteria can go through facial masks. It's almost as if, well, yeah, I know you're right, but the story is going to be different because I don't want you to be right. I want you to be scared.
Yeah, they want us to die so the humanity survives. Question is, if everyone has to die for the greater good, who's gonna survive? But to the point that Rabbi made, I have an interesting idea. The old Chinese traditional medical system worked a little bit different to ours. They paid every day a small fee to the doctors when they were healthy. As soon they were sick, the doctors had to do everything to make them healthy again, otherwise they wouldn't receive a single cent. Meaning, if someone gets sick, you don't pay the doctor until you are healthy again, but then you pay a little. I wonder
Which,
what
yeah,
would happen in our world if we would change to that. Because would doctors still participate in this pandemic or not?
no, probably not. Most likely not. I think that might actually be a good idea. Healthcare should be free, but when you're healthy, you pay your doctors. Not
Yeah,
a bad idea, actually.
yeah. And this just reminded me of Upton Sinclair, who said it's difficult to get a man to understand something if his understanding depends on if his salary depends on his not understanding it. Like the doctors, they get the money as soon the people are in need of a treatment and not other way around. Wonder what
Yeah.
this would do.
No, actually, that makes good sense. It's true. I mean, it's almost as if you want to pay fire departments for making sure that there won't be fires. Trust you me, if that's the only way for them to make money, there will be fires. Because if that's all you do, then you need to make your money from something. Now, luckily, in most countries, fire departments do more than just fight fires. So they have a lot to do. But if you only would get paid for every fire you extinguish, but if there are no fires, you won't get paid.
Starting to getting hot in the neighborhood.
Let's see. Yes, indeed, Paulo. They lost their jobs, their houses, and were on the streets because of the closing down of the economy. Who is responsible? Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the governments are responsible because they're the ones doing it to their people.
You can't say that. It's the virus. It's the virus. Everything is to be blamed on the virus.
No, well, the thing is, the virus didn't close down shops or cafes. That the virus didn't do that. I didn't vote for the virus, so the virus shouldn't get a say in my political situation anyway.
Would be interesting. Is there a vaccine against politicians?
Well, I mean, Boris Johnson nearly died. Apparently, I don't understand nearly dying, to be honest. Either you die or you don't. Agree with number 19. I am mesh injured with TVT mesh. There are millions of people like me with plastic stuck in us. Are they looking for people who can tolerate implants of plastic? Not quite sure what you mean with PAG, by the way, Samantha. But yeah. Point 20. We're not going to be there in time.
Oh, that's my point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're slow today. Well, that's all right. I'm usually slow.
Well, as Swiss is present, so we have to be slow. Otherwise, I can't follow you anymore. So,
Yes,
point
true
20.
that. True that.
We are being pressured, God, what a word, in a various ways to get injected, which violates medical ethics and foundations to democratic society. The best way to get me to not to do something is to pressure me to 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 do it. I hate stuttering.
Well, it's not a bad way of looking at it, though. I mean, yeah, of course. If you force me to do it, I'm going to be reluctant to do it. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that's why they come up with the vaccination passport to have a normal life, to make those who are refusing the vaccine to take it because, well, yeah, human rights, prove you're being human, take the vaccine.
Yeah. Thank you for your answer, Samantha. And thank you for your answer as well, Paolo. So, Boris uh, wasn't getting scared because of the coof, but because he got an SJW girlfriend.
Oh, geez, I rather would take up with the coof than an SJW girlfriend. Oh my god.
Well, my son, a few weeks ago, my son had pneumonia. And it was quite acute, and it's our fault. We saw it coming, and we didn't do anything. That's our bad. It really was. I mean, my wife has asthma. I have asthma, and our son has been coughing for weeks now. So he has asthma. We know we needed to have this done, but we couldn't because of the whole COVID thing, and we kind of forgot about it, and it got out of hand. And now my son had pneumonia. Don't worry, he's fine again. But then we went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Oh no, you can't come. We have to have him tested first. And what if he would infect people with COVID if he had COVID?" And then we were there because, yeah, fuck you, that's not going to happen. I'm coming now. We were there. The doctor basically said, "Well, you did right coming right away because he has pneumonia. That this is pretty serious. So it's a good thing that you came right away." Well, thank you very much. Pneumonia is far more deadly than COVID, especially for kids of his age. So why the hell didn't they want to see my son? They wanted to have him tested for COVID first. But pneumonia is actually deadly. It's almost as if even the doctors are completely okay with playing this bullshit game that the governments have set up for us. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked a bit.
Yeah, but it's a good point, which actually reinforces the one I made before. Uh, if you would change the system for the doctors being paid while we are healthy, this wouldn't have happened. They would have had any motivation to get your son back into health,
Yeah,
even if it would have meant for them to endanger themselves.
probably, yeah. Anyway, the government has sealed their protocol related to the virus and treatments for 30 years. Now, this is in Israel. This is not everywhere, thank God. This is
Yeah, in Switzerland it's only 100 years.
well, this is information that the public has a right to know, and the government has a responsibility to share. What are they covering up? Do they really expect me to believe that everything is kosher about all this? And that they are concerned first and foremost with my health? The last time they did this was with the Yemenite children affair. Again, Israel. If you're not familiar with it, look it up. Now they're pulling the same shtick. They didn't fool me the first time. They're definitely not fooling me now. Now, the Yemenite children affair, I can't remember it completely, but it had something to do with not helping children getting. Maybe I should look it up. It's too long ago. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to look it up. You take the next point.
Well, yeah, maybe let me add this. Doctors and pharmaceutical companies only want our best, our money, and that's all. But yeah, the next point, the government. I'm sorry, I have to move the mouse away. The government can share our personal medical data with foreign corporations, but they won't share their own protocol on the matter with us. I'm out. Yeah, which is a good point. Why making everything they base their decisions on a top secret. In Israel, 30 years. In Switzerland, it's 100. I'm not sure, but Germany made something about 50 years or something. And the question is, why? What are they afraid of if people would have a look into the matters? Except other than people would find out that everything has been based on false pretenses or even plans or something.
Yeah. Okay, so on the Yemenite children affair, about 1,000 to 5,000 Jewish Yemenite babies disappeared. The majority of immigrants are arriving in Israel during this period were from Yemen, and with considerable numbers from other countries like Iraq, Morocco, Tunisia, and a lot of these children, freshly born children, 1 in 8 children of Yemenite families disappeared. I'm not going to go into it that much further because that's not what we were talking about. But yeah, the Israeli state had something to do with that as well. And these were Jewish children. It's not Arabs or whatever. And they were disappearing not because of Arabs or... It's a sick story. Never mind. Where were we? The government can share up... No, that's yours.
23.
Yeah, sorry. The establishment has recruited doctors, rabbis, the media, and the masses to harangue people who don't want to get injected with a new drug. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the whole Stanford prison experiment. Some people will have the right to complain. They are the ones in power, and the other people have to undergo it. Whether they feel they're being maligned, unfairly treated or not, will not stop the prison guards from harassing the prisoners. We are being told that we believe in crazy conspiracies, that we are against the science, that we are selfish, that we are murderous, that we don't care about the elderly, that it's our fault that governments continue to impose draconian restrictions on the public. The prison guard is absolutely sure that the prisoners are at fault. We are even being told that we have a religious obligations to do this and that we are grave sinners if we do not. They say that if we do not agree to get injected, we should be forced to stay inside our homes forever and be ostracized from public life. This is horrific, disgusting, a perversion of common sense, morality, and the Torah. It makes me recoil, and only further cements my distrust of these people and my opposition to taking this experimental drug. How dare they?
And in the meanwhile, in Canada, Germany, and even Switzerland, there are debates if there should be camps for those who are not vaccinated.
Yep. Spain already has camps for people refusing treatment.
Oh my God.
Yep. Not the vaccines, mind you, but if they are considered to be sick and they still go outside, they can be locked in camps. Obviously you can't be locked in your own house because you have the key. So you can be locked in camps to be forced to undergo treatment. Even though you might not want medication, so they won't force feed you medication, but basically they will imprison you.
I wonder if people remember how it started with the camps, because the camps like Dachau 1 have been existing long and many years before the first Jew has been put in there.
Yep.
First they came for the political opponents and put them into these camps. Then they took the sick, the disabled, put them in there. Then the prisoners of war, and then came the Jews.
Yep.
I wonder if people remember this, because first they came against the political opponents who were against the measurements. Now they are making camps for those refusing treatments, so they put the sick into camps. Oh God damn it, this society makes me sick, frankly.
Yep.
The worst part is we are be labeled the alt-right neo-Nazi fascists
Yep.
because we show what's happening at the moment.
Which is being done by fascists. But they don't
Yeah.
think themselves fascist.
No, even though it was Himmler himself who placed the NSDAP, the German Nazi Party, to the ultra-left side, even more left than the Socialist Party of the Soviet Union back then.
Yep. A lot more left. But then again, vaccination is the new way to cause division. They've shown how easy it is for PR companies to brainwash. Yep, you're very right on that one, Samantha. You're
You're
very
raising
right
good
on that
points
one.
here, Samantha. Thanks for doing so.
Sorry?
She's raising good points. I thank
yeah.
her for doing so.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point. Definitely a good point. Anyway, where were we? Point 24. Ah, that's yours. Go on, then. Ha ha!
I'm kind of scared because you're so happy about me having to read this.
You want me to do it? I can do it. No worries.
No, I'll do it. I'll do it. I know of many people who got injected, but none of them studied the science in depth, carefully weighed the potential benefits against the risks, compared this option to other alternatives, was truly informed, and decided this medical treatment was the best option for them. On the contrary, they got injected because of the hype, the propaganda, the pressure, the fear, blind trust in what is the majority of experts supposedly believed, assuming they all studied everything in depth and were completely objective, which is highly dubious, blind trust in what certain influential rabbis urged them to do, did to the above, or the hysterical fear that the only option was getting injected or getting seriously ill from the virus. When I see mass hysteria and cult-like behavior surrounding a medical treatment, I will be extremely suspicious and avoid it. Which is actually good, because if you think about it, back in the Third Reich, people sorry, I have to rephrase it, have been okay with everything they did because they up there, the experts, those quote unquote knew what they were doing, told them so. And they did. They blindly followed the Führer. And look what they are doing at the moment.
Yep. Yep. To me, I would say this is scary as fuck, but okay. Fuck shouldn't be scary, though.
Well, always depends with who you fuck, to be honest.
Yes, that is true. And how and why. The drug companies have a long and glorious history of causing mass carnage with wonder drugs they trust on unsuspecting populations, even after serious problems had already become known. Instead of pressing the pause button and halting the marketing of these drugs until these issues could be properly investigated, the drug companies did everything in their power to suppress the information and keep pushing their products. When companies and people have demonstrated such gross lack of concern for human life, I will not trust them when they hype a new wonder drug. This isn't our first rodeo. And this is true. I mean, the AstraZeneca, then it's safe, then it's not safe, then it's safe again, then it's not safe again, then it's safe again. The same with the Pfizer, the same with Moderna. They all had their reasons to be held under scrutiny, but we don't.
And don't forget Johnson & Johnson, who tested on children below 16 years old, and now there's a recommendation to use the Johnson & Johnson on people over 18 or older.
Yeah. Guess why they came to that conclusion? Well, you're not allowed to say these things. Or you're basically wrong when you say these things. Or how dare you prove to the world that they are doing this. No. There is no problem. The government is right. 2 + 2 = 5. You all know the drill. But yeah, it is upsetting.
It is upsetting. also because they are not telling the people what can or could happen. Because they're just giving the shots and that's okay. They are not informing people, hey, listen, we had issues with this particular drug, like the AstraZeneca, or there have been issues with the other ones. Do you want to have it? They're not asking, they're just saying, you need it, there's a shot, a little sting, and go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I like how he wrote, this isn't our first rodeo, because reading it, I believe he refers to the time I was referring before. It just didn't name it. But the Israelis should know what medical experiments on humans mean. They, over all of the other populations in the world, well, maybe except the Indians, as India and some African countries where Bill Gates has been vaccinating the fertility of people away. They might know too.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bill Gates is generally not welcome. But yeah.
But
Anyway.
yeah. Point 26. Indeed, the horror stories are already coming in at warp speed. Oh, he's a Trekkie. But the politicians are not the least bit concerned. The medical establishment is brushing them aside as unrelated or negligible. The media is ignoring it. The drug companies are steaming ahead at full speed. And those who raise the red flag continue to be bullied, censored, and punished. Clearly, my life and my well-being are not their primary concern. I will not be their next guinea pig in their laboratory. I will not risk being the next coincidence.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that this one we've already had once. So, yeah. Do you have something to add to this one?
Yeah, because he's right. Because it's about the censoring, and I just read that a doctor who made some weekly newscasts, I think we can call it. He read about the news media in medical public, what are they called? Medical journals. What they have found out. His channel on YouTube has been cancelled for him doing so for the reasoning of publishing false medical information. He was just quoting what has been standing in the medical journals, which are official publications for the doctor to get the information they need to treat the patients.
No. I know it's correct. I mean, nothing he said is wrong, but yeah. It's yeah. I don't know.
It's like Pippi Longstockings. They make them the world like they want it to be. Reality is not necessarily included.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we know that there have been certain medical afflictions that have been popping up because of these vaccines. Kawasaki syndrome, I mentioned earlier. Well, I'm not sure if I mentioned it before the stream. There is another blood immunity illness that happens especially under children with this vaccine. Now, I'm saying it happens especially under children. That's not really true, but the version happens with children. It's a very rare disease, and it seems to pop up. I think it was with Pfizer. It kept popping up. But obviously we don't hear of that one anymore. The Kawasaki and the something C. And I find myself getting angry, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. The whole topic of COVID-19 makes me just angry, and it's terrible because it happens to everyone. Talk about COVID, people instantly get angry. This powder keg is boiling, and I fear it's going to explode soon.
Well, I can only hope it explodes away from my face, not towards it. Point 27, right?
Right.
Although many people have died shortly after getting injected, including perfectly healthy young people, we are not allowed to imply that the injection has anything to do with it. Somehow this is anti-science and will cause more people to die. I believe that denying any possible link, abusing people who speculate that there might be a link, and demonstrating not the slightest curiosity to even explore if there might be a link is what is anti-science and could very well cause more people to die. These same people believe I am obligated to get injected as well. No freaking thanks.
Yeah, it fits. In Germany and Switzerland, it is forbidden to check if you have antibodies after being vaccinated. Question is why? That's the primary use of the vaccine, to get antibodies, but it's forbidden to test if you have gotten them.
Yeah.
Question is why? There is no
Well,
medical or scientific reason to forbid the test for antibodies.
well, the only reason why they want to forbid it is because they don't want you to be able to prove that you have antibodies. Because if you can prove you have antibodies, they can't keep claiming that you're a health risk.
Yeah, especially due to the whole thing being a coronavirus. And a mutation of the coronavirus keeps the protein shell of the older one, meaning the antibodies for the old mutation works for the other mutation, even though only 50% against it, but you have a cross immunity, which allows you, well, which essentially doesn't make you go to die of a mutation.
And I have to admit, Ludacris made a good point. This is all leading to get you to have a license to exist. I wouldn't say so much a license to exist, but a license to exist in public.
It's
Because,
called
yeah.
passport. It's a vaccination passport. It will
Yep.
have the color green in Europe.
Which is kind of funny because I can still remember that in August last year, when people were saying this is around the corner, this is coming up, people were being told that they were stupid and they're conspiracy thinkers, and of course they weren't doing it. And then I think it was in November, it became public that the European Union had already ordered vaccines in May 2020 to be registered in vaccination passports.
With the passport, with the registered dosages, yes. But the passport has been called conspiracy theory up until 31st December 2020.
Yeah.
Even in January, people saying, be careful, we are going to get a passport for free movement, were called conspiracy theorists. In February, they said, no, they planned it all along, and all of the people suddenly knew, oh yeah, we knew about this all along.
Yep.
But still, people were called conspiracy theorists for pointing it out.
Yeah. There were more things that we were being called conspiracy theorists about. It's quite annoying. Hi there, Nick. Finding eggs. Not today, mate. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to look for eggs. We have a major that thinks human connection is more important. Well, most people think human connection is more important. That's the thing, though. They don't want you to think that human connection is important. That's why they keep telling you to wear a mask. Because it's going to prevent part of the human connection. But yeah, I agree with you. Human connection is important. But how are you guys looking for eggs already? You're supposed to do that on Easter Day, not the day before Easter.
Well, they have to hide it for the kids. Maybe they hid it so good from the kids that they can't find it themselves now. So they, well, have to search it first before they can hide it again.
Ludicrous, I just mentioned that's kind of the thing that's happening in Israel at the moment. It's not a star, though. It's a round sticker, but still. Oh, sorry, for the ones that didn't read it. Ludicrous said those of us who refuse to take the vaccine will be forced to wear a yellow star on our jacket. which is a reference I made a few months ago as well. But yeah. Which point are we? 27 or 29? I can't remember. 27, yeah?
28. I am
Twen-
repulsed by the religious cult-like worship of a pharmaceutical product and will not participate in this ritual. Agreed. Also, he forgot to mention the politics, which is also religious. Believe the virus, believe it's bad, believe the pandemic, otherwise you're yeah.
Yeah. And how dare you think for yourself? Believe the science, but only the science we tell you to believe, not the science that tells you that we're lying.
Yeah, like the press conference of the WHO on the 20th January, where they said the PCR tests are garbage, the quick tests are even worse, and that the masks don't help anything, and that we should get rid of all of those three things. They don't want us to listen to that. They want us to listen to the WHO, who said, "Oh, it's all so bad." Well, yeah.
Yeah. Even the Koch Institute in Germany, which is basically the Center for Disease Information in Germany, at the start of the pandemic, so we're talking February 2020, they were already saying, guys, stop. Look at what's going on. Think about what you're saying, because we're responding to something that isn't happening. And we've still been responding to what isn't happening since. 29. My healthcare provider keeps badgering me to get injected, yet they have provided me no information on this treatment or any possible alternatives. Everything I know I learned from other outside of the establishment. Informed consent has become conformed consent. I decline. What I find really interesting is that in America, for example, Trump is gone, and all of a sudden, hydroxychloroquine is an acceptable treatment. Now, in the Netherlands,
people no longer die from hydroxychloroquine because they are not putting in the 5 times deadly dosage anymore, because
Yeah.
they're just applying it and suddenly it helps, like the French and Italian have proven before.
yeah, and the Indians and several African countries and Taiwan, and should I continue? No, that's all right. Now, this is true for hydrochloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D and zinc combinations. They already help you a lot.
Yeah, as I has written before, and like every grandma knew, keep yourself healthy, eat vitamins, and you don't get sick. Strangely, it works.
Yep. Well, it helps. I won't say it gives you 100% protection, but it helps. And Ludicrous Leprechaun may suggest a possible alternative with hydroxychloroquine. I am more than interested in that, Ludicrous. I really am.
That's bitter irony. Toxic threat went to the Hoover Dam. People were wearing masks, and that made her sick. Well, yeah.
Well, actually, wearing a mask indeed is sickening. And I'm not even talking about psychological or stress related, but purely biological. Maskne is something that we knew of for many years. This is something in Asian countries you don't see it as much as you would think, but that has something to do with the way their skin is. They have a nicer skin on average than we in the West. But if you constantly wear a face mask, you will get acne-like infections around the face. And we do know that if you wear a mask for too long, and that's anything longer than half an hour, you're basically breathing in the viruses and bacteria you were breathing out. Your mask becomes a petri dish, so you can cause bacterial pneumonia from wearing a mask too long, especially when a mask gets wet, be that from you exhaling air or the mask getting wet from rain, you're basically waterboarding yourself. Not as much as with thick water, but you're preventing your lungs to get a good grasp on air, so to speak.
Also, it increases the infections of fungi in your
Yep.
breathing system because of the always more humid air you breathe in and out and in and out. And
Yep. So basically, wearing a mask too long is a serious problem. There's a reason why in hospitals surgeons wear a mask, but never longer than half an hour. After a half an hour, that mask, even during the operation, gets replaced. And another thing that people seem to forget, the air pressure in operating theaters is higher than the normal outside air pressure. Now, on average, that doesn't mean anything, but it does mean that it's a little different in breathing in. So yeah, there is that. Do with that what you want.
Also, with the mask topic, here in Europe, they are enforcing the FFP2 masks. In the States, this is an N95 mask. Not 1 year ago, it was against Unfallversicherung, accident insurance for jobs to wear FFP2 masks without being instructed on how to do so. Today, everybody has to wear them all day long and no instruction, no nothing, and all is okay. I wonder what will happen if the first accident due to misuse of the FFP2 happens.
We have already had those accidents, to be honest. Hell, even in Germany, there was an 8-year-old girl that died in the bus towards school.
Oh yeah, but that was because of the normal paper mask, not of the FFP2.
Oh, okay.
Because the normal paper masks weren't regulated, but the FFP2 was only allowed to be used after properly instruction, which is now missing. I still wait for the first accident to happen with that. It's gonna be terrible.
Anywho, point 20?
30. Oh shit, that's mine.
Sorry. Sorry.
I see all the lies, corruption, propaganda, manipulation, censorship, bullying, violation of medical ethics, lack of integrity in the scientific process, suppression of inconvenient adverse reactions, dismissal of legitimate concerns, hysteria, cult-like behavior, ignorance, closed-mindedness, fear, medical and political tyranny, concealment of protocols, lack of true concern for human life, lack of respect for basic human rights and freedoms, perversion of the Torah and common sense, demonization of good people, the greatest medical experiments of all time being conducted by greedy, untrustworthy, godless people, the lack of reliability for those who demand I risk everything. I see all this and I have decided they can all have my place in line. I will put my trust in God. I will use the mind He blessed me with and trust my natural instincts, which leads to the final reason which sums up which I will not get vaccinated. I'll do it. The whole thing stinks.
Yeah.
I'm not placing my trust in God because I'm not religious.
No, well, I don't have to
But
place
others can have my place in line too. I'll happily wait at the end of the line.
I don't have to place my trust in any deity or anything, nor any government, to be honest. I don't even place my trust in science, so to speak. I never understood how people say, oh, well, you know, I trust science. No, I don't. 1 + 1 = 2, period. There is no trust in that. To trust something...
But that's is mathematics.
Well, that's science. To trust something means that you do not really know the outcome, but you hope that it will be a good outcome. And because they say they think it might be a good outcome, you trust them to be right. But that's not how it works. Either something is right or it's not. Something is true or it's not. Science isn't 100% true, but they can prove something to be as true as possible. Again, this is not a trust thing. Science has proven that the vaccine is basically useless. No, it has proven that 90% of the people, the people that get vaccinated have a 90% chance of not getting sick from COVID. Yeah, well, thank you for proving that the vaccines do that, but we've already proven that everyone who gets infected does not get sick. About 10% of the people that get infected get sick. About 1% of the people that get sick get really sick. So basically, not being vaccinated means that you have a 90% chance of not getting sick of this virus. Getting vaccinated also gives you a 90% chance of not getting sick being vaccinated. How the hell do people fall for this?
Well, I guess we can be lucky to not understand how they fall for this, otherwise we would fall for this too.
True. Now, I did mention, and I'll see if I can find it real fast, but it's unfortunately in Dutch. I did mention about the COVID infection thing.
Well, while you're on the search for this COVID infection thing, I will tell the people what I meant with the experiment I have been performing in the last few days. Because there is an alternative to the mRNA vaccinations in form of an anti-gene vaccine. A German professor, Professor Dr. Winfried Stöcker, created this anti-gene thingy, which is nothing else than a common shot against flu, against tetanus, against like every vaccination you have received before. It's anti-gene based. Nothing bad can happen. People are ignoring it. So I started asking around doctors, pharmacies, those who create the drugs. I knew the word was a few minutes before. And anyway, I asked them if they will make this anti-gene vaccine available for people. Interesting thing. Doctors and so on, all they said they will do it if as soon the Swiss medic certified the vaccine and tested it thoroughly. Well, Swiss medic, I asked them too, they said as soon someone produces it and asks it for it to be tested, they will do it. But there will be no accelerated way of doing it like it has been done with the mRNA thingy. So it leads to one conclusion. It's not about the virus anymore, because they complain about having too few vaccines. They are complaining about the risks they have, so they have to change for who shall get the vaccines and who not. There is an alternative they are blatantly ignoring, and that actually could be produced by any pharmacy there is, because it's just an anti-gain combination. Yeah, easy, cheap, no risks. The whole thing could be over in 3 weeks if they just would do it. And the answers I have received are so obvious. It's not about the virus, it's about something else. And yeah, it was actually quite depressing.
Yeah. Well, here's I'm going to share it. It's in Dutch, unfortunately. I'll see if I can translate it. Nope, I cannot. But I can show it to you people, sorry. All numbers, no, allcijfers.nl. Basically, here it says all numbers. This is from roughly 3 April till 12 April, I think. About 2 million vaccines have been made, 1.9 million, but they think that 2.7 million vaccines have been given. The amount of people having been tested positive, 550,000 people have been tested. About 8.5% of these people are positive. Now, 8.5% people out of 550,000. I'm going to round that up a bit. That means that 50,000 people have been tested positive, because 10% of... Okay. Now, sorry, I need to sneeze.
You could have muted your mic for a second, to be honest.
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have. You're right.
And rip all headphone users like myself.
Well, I did say I had to sneeze. I did do that. I did give warning. But yeah, no, you are correct. You are correct. Now, the amount of people being infected, basically they're not infected as in they're sick, but they're infected as in the test was positive. About 7,000. Well, again, let's round that up to 10,000. So, out of 500,000 people tested, I did say 10,000, that's 50,000. Yeah. Around 500,000 people tested, about 50,000 would be affected. Thank you, Samantha. They're not sick, they're just positive tests. Now, if we then look at the amount of people... this is too much text, never mind. But the amount of people being registered in hospitals, in total there have been 297 people being admitted to hospitals on 3 April. 243 go to the average people, and 54 go to intensive care. So, 3rd of April, 54 go to intensive care. Now, I don't precisely know the numbers from the period before that, but again, if we're going to say 54 out of 50,000, 1% of 50,000 is 500, right? So 54 is 0.5% of 500. That means that you have 0.5% chance of ending up on the IC. That doesn't mean you will die, but you have 0.5% chance of getting there. And now we have a vaccine that protects you for the sickness for 90%. But even without the vaccine, you only have a small chance of actually getting to... At this point in time. Obviously, there will be times when the numbers will be a little bit higher. But again, 8.5% out of 500,000 is about 50,000, right? My calculus isn't that far off, right? And only 54 end up on the IC in that period. Let's see if they have more numbers here that are useful. No, not really. I could tell people check it out yourself, but basically the main important thing is this one, how many people are tested, and then this one, how many people end up in the hospital and on the IC. Now one would say, well, this is in the same week, this is the 3rd of April and this is in the 3rd of April, but in all fairness we see a decline. So this number is lower than the period before that. And even though if we take that the period before that had higher numbers, it's still only these amount of people ending up in intensive care. I know it's a numbers game, and I know people like to think it's a terrible, scary numbers game. But the numbers they push on us do not add up. tell them to Google it. Well, yeah. But you can show people these numbers, and they will simply deny it. They will simply say, yeah, no, those are the wrong numbers. Yeah, well, be that as it may, I got these numbers basically from this website, where they keep track of all these things. Now, obviously, this is Dutch. I'm sorry, people. There's another place I can show you this. This is the RIVM, basically the Dutch CDC. Corona in graphics. Come on. Here we see. I'm going to show you the last period, because I don't have to show you the whole year. Showing you from November. Yeah. They keep pushing the idea that there is growth, but if we look at it, these are the positively tested people, and we had a slight growth again, but it's a slight growth. I mean, this was the second wave. Well, these two combined were the second wave. But if we then look at how many people have been positively tested, to how many people have been admitted to hospital. Do I have the same one? November. So this is the one that this is. Yeah, this is again. This is since the beginning of the COVID storm. 200 people, 400 people. So let's say this is. Well, actually, I can check it. This is 275 people being admitted on March the 20th. If we look at March the 20th, there are 7,000 to 8,000, slightly more perhaps, people that have been tested. So there's 200 people out of 7,000 people that get admitted to hospital in the same time frame. Again, 200 out of 7,000, okay, it's not as small a thing, but it doesn't make sense. If we look at the people that have died from the get-go, we're talking about 16 people in March, 20 people on the 24th of March. Oh, sorry, not 20 people. The 20th of March, 7 people. So, yeah, it's 7 people too many. Sure, I agree with that. But 7 people died out of positively tested 6,000, roughly. We keep being told how terrible the numbers are. And in the Netherlands, these numbers aren't that bad. I mean, it's a shame for everyone who dies. I'm not trying to deny that people die, but come on, it's madness. How many people have died from this disease? 1 kid under the age of 4 has died. No girl. Under the age of 9 to 5, no one. Under the age of 10 to 14, no one. Under the age of 15 to 19, 2 kids have died, 2 boys. Under the age of 24 to 20, 2 men have died. Now, 25 to 29, this is a bigger one. 5 men have died and 1 girl have died. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 people under the age of 30 have died of corona in the Netherlands. It's not really a pandemic. And this is not in the last month. This is the total. We go.
Yeah, we have similar numbers here in Switzerland. I was just checking the page we have here. I can link it in the chat if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Just link it and I'll drop it so that people can see it.
There we go. It's even in English. It's so ridiculous if you see the numbers. For example, Well, we have to wait until Modwin has shared the screen, but
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, bloody. I don't like Discord. Discord, behave. Come on. So, there you go. I shared
yeah.
it.
Okay, thanks. For example, since March 19th, we have 515,769 new tests. And we have 24,169 positively tested people. Hospitalized, 680.
Yeah.
Died, 105. I mean, I know Switzerland is a small country with just 8 million inhabitants, but come on, where is the pandemic? We have more deaths dying of tobacco consumption, like smoking or something else. These numbers are ridiculous to be at best. I'm sorry for everyone losing a relative to this, but I'm sorry, this is not a pandemic. With a pandemic, we would have 24,000 people dying since 19th of March, but not 105.
Yeah. I mean, what's 105 out of 24 again? 24,000? 1% of 24,000 would be 240. Right? 1% out of 24,000 would
Yeah,
be 240.
yeah, that's right.
So less than 0.5%. It's amazing.
Yeah, and these are high numbers because we are still in the end of the flu season here in Switzerland.
Yep.
Normally, the flu goes up until around April because only then it starts to getting warmer, preventing people of dying.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because this is something. Now, I might be wrong on this one, so you can quote me on it, but I could be wrong. Now, when we say flu season, we all think the flu, influenza. But we never get tested whether we have the flu or not. We're basically considering it's the flu season. But there are a few viruses that basically have the same problems and have the same sicknesses attached to it. Flu viruses, influenza, yeah, coronaviruses, and rhinoviruses. It is completely believable that what we would call flu seasons in the past would not have been influenza, but maybe that year it was a coronavirus, or maybe that year it was a rhinovirus that would take the upper hand. But we never got it tested because we didn't care. It's basically the same thing. And now we're being told that, oh no, wait a second, this one is different. But it's not.
Yeah, it's a scamdemic because if they would stop testing for it, nobody would realize that there's a bad virus going around. People are not sick.
Yeah. I mean, out of 24,600 people are sick. Let's say
Hospitalized. They have been brought into
hospitalized.
hospital. So
Yeah,
at
but
least 680 are severely sick.
no. That's the thing, though. You don't even have to get to be severely sick to be hospitalized.
But
In
here
some
in
cases,
Switzerland you have. If you have just normal flu symptoms, you are told to stay at home.
okay.
But only if you have severe symptoms or any other pre-existing conditions which put you in danger, then you are hospitalized. They have even forbidden to do normal surgical procedures to keep the hospital beds empty for the many pandemic cases. So people are going to die of their conditions which would have been fixed by now, but because the surgery has been delayed, it's going to be too late. And well, yeah. But yeah, 680 of the 24,000 tested. And they made 500,000 tests in
Yeah.
a population of 8 million. 500,000 tests, 24,000 positive. From these, 680 in hospital. And oh no, that's not a pandemic. I'm sorry. That's a normal viral infection.
Yeah.
Tell people to go out, get the mask off, just eat healthy. It's gonna do much more good than anything else they are doing at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. And I have to, sorry, I had to laugh a little bit because of ludicrous. Is it true that the rhinoviruses are becoming endangered? Yeah, especially the white rhino virus is becoming endangered. Bloody hell. I'm sorry for the people who missed that joke, but it was fucking funny to me. So thank you for making me laugh, ludicrous.
Yeah, that's been a good one. Yeah.
Anyway,
Fucking COVID eradicates everything except humanity.
well, it's doing its
Even the
best.
rhinoviruses. The flu has been completely eradicated. We had no
Yep.
single case of flu in the last season, but we had COVID.
Yep, we all have COVID now.
I wonder if viruses can be vaccinated against COVID.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well. Anyway, we've been
Real Raven is right. The state has
Raven.
the power now. They will hardly give it back to the people, and we are too scared to be doing anything.
Yeah,
What did you try to say?
I think that's what he's trying to say. That people are unaware that whether if we would all stand up and make a fist against the governments, then this whole charade would be over. But people are afraid. And they are made to believe that, oh my God, this pandemic is so bad. You have to realize how bad it is. I mean, didn't you see 105 people died in Switzerland in the last period? That's like 0.5% of all the people that got.
Yeah, and it's
tested,
it's in 2 weeks. That means 52 or 53 people a week.
Yeah. TB has not been mentioned, but death risen. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I showed you the numbers in the Netherlands. Under the age of 15, under the age of 30. Under the age of 30, we had like, let's say 15 deaths. I can't remember. Let's say 30 deaths. And then the British version will triple those numbers. Well, I'm sorry, but 90 deaths in a year time... I'm sorry, that's not something to worry about. Anyway, we're rehashing points, so let's call it quits. Any last words you want to join for the people at home?
Well, have a nice evening. Don't get vaccinated if you don't want to. And always think about what you hear in the news, because it's only half the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. People, you have a mind. Try using it from time to time. No, listen, and it's not true because we say it's true. I mean, I can point out to certain things, certain evidences, but don't believe me because I say it. Feel free to check me and contradict me. But then please do the same for the ones that tell you to take a vaccine. Feel free to check them and contradict them if they are wrong. We cannot change the world, indeed, Dimitri, we cannot. But we are society. We can change society. But